again, I want to say thank you, Pastor Dean, for allowing me to be here. And Brother Tom, you're there. Thank you very much for the connections. I am one of those who, at the end of the line, receiving all the blessings that you sent for our troops back in Iraq. The coffee that Brother Tom and the tea and the tremendous numbers of boxes of Girl Scout cookies. That one time I called him, Brother Tom, I ran out of space. Then he said, too late, more are coming. And I like that. By the way, I want to bring your attention to the bulletin. It says over there, Pastor or Chaplain Felix sermon. That is not a joke. That's a real sermon. As the introduction or the flyer inserted in our bulletin says that, yes, I've been asked a lot of times if I change my last name. I said, nope, I've been a sermon since I was a kid. And that's true also. When I was at Fort Bliss, somebody wanted to change my last name. Now, my first name. Because one time I was late in one of the field services. And my brigade commander told me, the reason why you're late is because you preached a long sermon on the other side. So from now on, you will be called Long Sermon, not Felix no more. And I'm tempted every time I preach. In fact, I talked to Brother Tom. I'm tempted to preach long sermon, but I will not today, I promise. You know, thank God for all the blessings that He has given us. Thank God for all the great Americans who are continuing to support our troops. I have a lot of story to tell. I have a lot of experiences that I want you to know, but if I will do that, then it will be a long sermon. And I promise I will not. One of the things that actually soldiers and units does before deployment is what we call training. Now, forces right now are training round the clock because we don't know what will happen like tomorrow. We don't know what will happen next week or the next month or the next year. So we keep on training. But for those who are tasked to deploy to either Iraq, Afghanistan, which is like the hottest spot in the world today with regards to military services. Before we go, we will have like a training that we call, in my case as a hospital chaplain before, was certification. Level 3. We become the trauma hospital in Baghdad. And one thing that they did to us, even though we are not clinical department, but being the unit ministry team or the chaplains department or the pastoral care department, we are involved with the training and certification. One thing that they ask of us is to train on how to do a memorial service. If I will be given tasks, hundreds of them, I will pick those hundreds and not do the memorial service. That's the saddest part. But since we are in the certification process, I need to go through with my chaplain assistant. So what we did is prepare a mock memorial service. What we did was pretend that we were attacked, and 3 of our soldiers got shot. In our memorial service, the most enlisted person, the most senior enlisted person in the unit will make the final roll call. The final roll call goes like this. Captain Jane Doe. Captain Jane Doe will stand and say, "Here, First Sergeant," or "Here, Command Sergeant Major." And then the other one will say, or the the first sergeant or the sergeant major will say, Captain Jane Doe 2. Captain Jane Doe 2 will stand and will say, here, Sergeant Major, or here, First Sergeant. And then he will say, Lieutenant John Doe. Lieutenant John Doe. Lieutenant John Doe. After the third call, one of the friends of John Doe will stand. Sergeant Major, First Sergeant, Lieutenant John Doe made the ultimate sacrifice. I was so glad. I'm sorry. I was so glad it is only a mock memorial service. And today I want to focus on that word. Ultimate sacrifice. Because this is Memorial Day. Because this is what Memorial Day is all about. Remembering those who sacrificed their lives for our country and for the freedom that we enjoy every day. A lot of them. In fact, the other day I was reading the Stars and Stripes. I think 3 or 4 pages. All soldiers, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen who died are all in there. Their pictures. But when we think of the ultimate sacrifice, there is nothing in this world. Yes, we do have a lot of soldiers and service members and DOD civilians who offer their lives for our freedom. But when we think of the ultimate sacrifice, there is nothing in this world that can compare to the sacrifice that the Lord Jesus Christ did for all of us. When on the cross at Calvary, he gave up his life not only for the freedom of the United States of America, not only for the freedom of a particular country, but for the freedom of the whole humanity, the whole world. For the Bible said he died once and for all, and nothing can match that great sacrifice of the Lord Jesus Christ. Sacrifice that the whole Christianity will always remember. In fact, just a few weeks ago, last month, we remembered the Lord Jesus Christ's sufferings. We remember the Lord Jesus Christ's death on the cross. And we talk a lot about his pains, his agony, and finally giving up his last on that cross. Now, talking about freedom, his death on the cross gave us freedom from many things, but I want to focus on 2 things today, 2 things this morning. 2 very important issues in our lives as Christians that we can always look at the Lord Jesus Christ and say, God, thank you for sending